They laughed at him during roll call. Not the nervous laughter of fear, the cruel kind. The kind men use when they think someone is already broken. The warden smiled as the guards forced him to repeat his inmate number again and again until his voice cracked. The Joker stood there in his stained prison uniform, head bowed, face painted dull by months of concrete walls and fluorescent lights. No one noticed his hands were steady. No one noticed he was counting. Because in prisons, humiliation is supposed to finish a man, but sometimes it only sharpens him. Days later, the same warden would be screaming into a dead intercom, the cameras looping lies, the locks betraying him, and he would finally understand one terrifying truth. You don't humiliate chaos. You invite it in, sin. Before this story unfolds, before the laughter turns into fear, subscribe to the channel, because stories like this don't come from comic books. They come from the darkest corners of the human mind. The Joker learned the rhythm of the prison faster than anyone expected. The clang of doors at dawn, the coughs in the hallway before lights out, the way guards laughed loudest when they were most afraid of being seen as weak. Arkmoor Correctional wasn't built to rehabilitate. It was built to grind men down until they forgot who they were. And for a while, it seemed to work on him too. After the roll call humiliation, the warden made a habit of singling him out. Extra counts, random searches, public insults dressed up as discipline. Stand straight, the warden would bark, circling him like a predator. Even clowns need posture. The guards laughed. Inmates learned quickly this was a man you were allowed to mock. The Joker never responded. He listened. At night, he lay on his bunk staring at the peeling paint above him, replaying voices in his head. Not hallucinations, but memories. Judges who shook hands with criminals in back rooms. Politicians who preached law and order while selling favors to the highest bidder. Wardens who spoke about justice while running prisons like private kingdoms. Arkmoor was just a smaller version of the same rotten city, and rot always leaked. In the cafeteria, he sat alone. In the yard, he walked slow, counting steps. Other inmates tried provoking him at first. One shoved him during lineup. Another whispered jokes about his makeup fading. Joker just smiled faintly, like a man watching rain fall before a flood. It unsettled them more than anger ever could. "Why don't you snap?" one lifer muttered one evening. "That's what they want." Joker glanced at him, eyes calm. "No," he said softly. "That's what they expect." Strange things began happening inside Arkmoor. Small things at first. The warden's morning announcement started cutting out mid-sentence, replaced by long silences that stretched uncomfortably before returning to normal. Cell doors stuck for a second longer than usual, just enough to make guards sweat. The heating system ran hot one night, then ice cold the next. No alarms, no chaos, just discomfort. The warden blamed the staff, screamed at maintenance, threatened budget cuts. He never once looked at the quiet man in cell B14, the one who hummed softly while brushing his teeth with prison-issued paste. But the guards noticed. "Something's off," one said during night watch. "Feels like the place is watching us." Another laughed nervously. "You're jumpy. It's just the clown messing with your head." Maybe it was. One evening during showers, a guard slipped on the wet floor and cracked his head open. Not badly, just enough blood to stain the tiles. The Joker helped lift him up, pressing a towel against the wound. The guard stared at him, confused. "Why help me?" he asked. Joker leaned close and whispered, "Because pain doesn't teach lessons. Fear does." The guard never reported him. The next day he called in sick. The warden's control began to fray. His voice grew hoarse from yelling. He punished entire blocks for minor infractions, which only deepened resentment. The prison felt tense, like a held breath. Even the walls seemed to listen. Then came the night of the blackout. It wasn't sudden. It crept in. Lights flickered, dimmed, and finally surrendered to darkness. Emergency lamps glowed red, bathing the corridors in a color that looked too much like blood. Inmates shouted. Guards scrambled. Orders echoed and contradicted each other. In cell B14, the Joker sat calmly on his bunk. The intercom crackled to life. Not alarms, not instructions. Laughter. Soft at first, almost gentle, then layered. Echoes folding into echoes, bouncing through the concrete halls. It wasn't mocking, It was knowing. The kind of laugh that said everything was going exactly as planned. "Find him," the warden screamed into his radio. "I want him in chains." But chains didn't matter when control was already gone. As power slowly returned, the laughter stopped. The prison fell silent. No doors were open. No inmates had escaped. No rules had technically been broken, and yet Arkmoor felt different, smaller, exposed. The warden retreated to his office, locking the door behind him. His reflection in the dark window looked pale, shaken. He poured himself a drink with trembling hands. A voice spoke behind him. "You humiliated me in front of everyone," Joker said calmly. "That was your mistake." The warden spun around, but the room was empty. Only the mirror remained, and in it, painted faintly across the glass in foggy letters, were the words, "Roll call isn't over yet." The warden screamed, and far down the corridor, the Joker smiled, because this was only the beginning. The warden didn't sleep after that night. He sat behind his desk until dawn, lights on, jacket still buttoned, staring at the door as if it might accuse him. Arkmoor woke up uneasy. Guards avoided eye contact. Inmates spoke in murmurs. The prison hadn't lost order. It had lost certainty, and that frightened everyone more than a riot ever could. The Joker returned to routine like nothing had happened. Morning count, breakfast tray, yard walk. He hummed again, the same tuneless melody, soft enough that no one could tell where it began or ended. Some guards swore they heard it even when he wasn't there. The warden called an emergency meeting. "This place is testing us," he said, pacing. "Someone thinks they're smarter than the system." His eyes lingered on Joker's file longer than the others. "I want pressure, make him uncomfortable." So they did. They moved Joker to isolation. The cell was colder, smaller. The light never fully went out. The warden visited personally, standing outside the bars with forced confidence. "You like games?" he asked. "Let's see how long you keep smiling in here." Joker looked up slowly. His eyes weren't angry. They were disappointed. "You already lost," he said. "You just don't know where." Isolation didn't break him. It refined him. Guards started arguing more. Shift schedules got mixed up. Doors opened slower, closed harder. One officer quit without notice, leaving his badge on the floor like it burned him. Another began drinking on duty, hands shaking, eyes darting. The prison fed on fear. One night, the warden's private intercom crackled while he was alone in his office. He froze. The voice that came through was calm, almost kind. "You ever wonder why they promoted you?" Joker asked. "Why you, out of everyone?" The warden slammed the button. Silence returned, but the question stayed. The next day, an inmate collapsed in the yard. Not dead, just exhausted, untreated, ignored too long. The prison doctor argued with guards. Inmates shouted. Someone blamed the warden by name. For the first time, his authority was spoken aloud and questioned. Joker was released from isolation shortly after. Officially, it was procedural. Unofficially, no one wanted him there anymore. When he walked back into general population, conversations stopped. Even the loudest men stepped aside. He sat at his usual table in the cafeteria. A young inmate approached cautiously. "Did you do all this?" he whispered. Joker didn't look up. "No," he said. "I just stopped pretending it wasn't already broken." The warden unraveled fast. He barked orders that contradicted each other, threatened investigations he couldn't control. His superiors called daily, demanding explanations. "Get it under control," they warned, "or we will." The final humiliation came quietly. During roll call, the same ritual where Joker had been mocked, the warden stumbled over his words. His voice cracked. The inmates noticed. A few smiled. One laughed, not loud, just enough. The warden snapped. He shouted, cursed, called them animals. The guards hesitated. For the first time, they didn't move immediately. Authority, once cracked, never seals the same. Joker met the warden's eyes across the room. That night, the warden resigned. Officially, it was health reasons. Unofficially, everyone knew he'd lost control of Arkmoor long before he lost the job. He packed his office alone, hands shaking, avoiding mirrors. As he stepped out for the last time, he heard soft footsteps behind him. "You didn't lose because of me," Joker said from the shadows. You lost because you forgot what power is for. The warden turned, tears streaking his face. "What do you want?" he whispered. Joker tilted his head. "I already got it." Weeks passed. Arkmoor settled into something almost calm. A new warden arrived, quieter, careful, afraid of repeating history. Guards treated inmates with just enough caution to avoid cruelty. The system hadn't become good, but it had learned fear. One morning, Joker was gone. No alarms, no chaos. His bunk was empty, his uniform folded neatly. No one could say when he left or how. The prison denied it. Records adjusted themselves. Conversations ended abruptly when his name came up. But sometimes, during roll call, a guard would pause, counting heads twice. And somewhere beyond the walls, the Joker walked free, laughter low in his throat, knowing the truth most men never learn. You don't need to destroy a corrupt system to defeat it. You just have to hold up a mirror and wait for it to collapse under its own reflection. If this story stayed in your mind, that's the point, because some battles aren't won with fists or fire. They're won with patience, pressure, and truth. And sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones who scream, but the ones who smile and wait. If you felt the tension, the darkness, the question this story leaves behind, subscribe to the channel. More cinematic stories are coming, and the next one might make you question who the real villain really is.